Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tams and I create content that encourages a well-lived creative life. So today is the Monday after Easter Sunday. Happy Easter Monday. And if you have been following me for a while, you know that I took off the entire season of Lent from making content here on YouTube. The purpose of doing that is I challenged myself during Lent to limit the amount of small screen time I was spending looking at my personal cell phone and just staring at the screen. I had realized I have been on this wellness journey for over a year now, and one of the things I was starting to realize is how the time I spent staring at my phone, for whatever reason, it could have been fun, harmless things, but the amount of time I had spent staring at my phone during the day was starting to affect little things around my well-being. So during the season of Lent, what I challenged myself to do is anytime I caught myself staring at my phone, looking at something for an extended period of time, I would try to replace that time with either exercising, writing, reading, gardening, or just getting something done around the house. As promised, when I announced that I was going to do this challenge, I'm going to use this video to share with you what I learned. All right, so let's get on with the list of things that I learned and experienced while trying to do this challenge over the past several weeks. The first thing I learned is how difficult it was. Because I was intentionally catching myself, it was amazing to me how easy it was for me to go to my phone just as a default and just start looking for things to fill a void, if you will. And I was so shocked at myself. I would spend an hour and a half looking at video after video of something frivolous, like what's in my bag or something like that. And it was really just to escape, I believe. So one of the things I learned that would help me to immediately get out of this rut was I told myself I could listen to audio. So that meant a podcast or maybe a video like this where the person is talking and you don't necessarily have to watch that person. You could just set your phone off to the side, listen, and do something else. So I did allow myself to listen to music and listen to podcasts and interviews. And that led to the next thing that I learned about myself. I was missing intelligent conversation and community. And I believe that is why I was immediately defaulting to the phone as soon as I felt bored or alone or anything like that. I just craved meaningful conversation. So allowing myself to listen to a lot of things audio-wise, I did find myself gravitating toward more content that was higher quality. I wanted to listen to lectures or people discussing things together, people debating ideas together. So that was very interesting. It's like once I took myself away from just staring at anything that would fill the void, and I started listening to the audio version of a discussion while doing something else in the house. It could have been cleaning up the kitchen. It could have been working on something here in the craft room. It could have been music that I was listening to while writing a letter or being out in the garden. I did notice how my expectation of the quality of that content leveled up a bit. And over time, I noticed that I myself wanted to be around more people and have better conversations. And that was able to happen. I have people that come over to visit. You know, the house is always full in and out. And I found myself armed or equipped, if you will, with better questions for people. I wanted to focus on them, ask them things more about themselves. And I noticed that our conversations were more engaging, We were tapping into things that everyone kind of wanted to talk about, but no one knew how to really initiate the conversation. So I feel like that was a really cool thing that happened out of just stopping myself from staring at a little screen for several hours a day. Another thing I did to help myself do this challenge is I did allow at night, if I wanted to watch television or YouTube, because I've always enjoyed YouTube very much. I have a channel, for goodness sakes. I would allow myself at night after dinner to watch YouTube or a television show, but it had to be on the big TV screen. It could not be on my phone. And that was hard at first because sometimes at night I want to turn on YouTube while I'm in the bed and watch something or maybe it'll help me fall asleep. But I had just read so much research about how bad that is for you and for your sleeping pattern. So I really wanted to get out of that habit. By allowing myself to watch some things on the big screen in the evening, the same thing happened. I started to crave more quality content. I didn't want to like flip through and go through little things one after the other, just searching, going down a rabbit hole for content that might fill a void. Because it was so intentional, I started to research, ask friends, what are some good shows that you're watching? What are you seeing on TV now that's very interesting and uplifting? And in my mind, it was higher quality content. So I did discover some better TV shows and some better content on YouTube, if you will. In fact, what I really noticed is I started to watch more of the higher quality television shows and less of the YouTube videos. So by doing this, Bill and I both discovered a television show that we both enjoyed watching. We both fell in love with it. It's a television show. It might not be your cup of tea, but we loved it so much. It's a few years old, but it's called Endeavor, and there's several seasons and episodes. And if you were a fan of Inspector Morse back in the 80s and 90s, Endeavor is the backstory of Inspector Morse. So if you're looking for something quality that we really enjoyed, Endeavor, I highly recommend that. And then for me, one of my favorite shows that I have been watching is All Creatures, Great and Small, the newer one that came out on PBS Masterpiece not too long ago. There's about 5 seasons of that, and it's just so beautiful and uplifting. Here are some of the other benefits that came out of intentionally reducing the amount of time that I stare at my phone screen. So because I was replacing that time with gardening, exercising, writing, creating here in the craft room, I did get a lot of projects done in the garden. Now, if you follow me on Instagram, you can look in my highlights and stories, and I did try to share once a week what was happening in the garden. So there's a whole record of what I was able to accomplish in the garden during this time. I also was intentional about what I put on Instagram, and I forced myself to do just a weekly recap of what was happening at Cortland Cottage. You can see all that in my posts. And for just a creative outlet, I would play around with making a reel for the craft projects I was working on here in the studio. So if you want to see little glimpses and tidbits of what was going on with my time, you can find all that on my Instagram account. I'll link it below. Some physical benefits that came out of this. I did notice that I was sleeping better. Now that could be from other things that I was doing, because I had already been spending 3 days a week at the gym, but because of this challenge, I also added in more walking on the days that I was not going to the gym. So that could have been a benefit of more walking. I also learned the importance of scheduling in breaks. The third quarter ended in the midst of Lent, and one of the things that had been recommended to me by many friends was to take quarterly breaks. So I intentionally scheduled a spring break, if you will, toward the end of March, when a lot of people were taking a spring break here in Florida. And really, I didn't go anywhere, extravagant or go on a elaborate vacation, But what I allowed myself to do is not have to-do lists for several days, just kind of take it day by day, do some enjoyable things that I had always wanted to do, and it was great. I also gave myself a break from the gym because since the beginning of this year, I've been on a pretty rigorous plan. I went on a very strict eating plan the entire month of January. I started weight training and doing things I had never done before and pushing my body. And I was tired. I was getting great benefits out of it, but it was very rigid. I knew the eating part is something I could not sustain for forever, and I just needed to give myself a break. And I highly recommend giving yourself a long weekend or a weekly break about once a quarter. I think I'll do that every quarter from now on, and just intentionally schedule it in, and then also schedule in what I need to do to once that break is over to get back into some good habits. Spending time away from the screen, I know this sounds crazy, but because I was spending more time with friends, engaging in more quality conversation, watching more quality content and uplifting messages, exercising, getting more sleep, doing things with doing more creative things like writing or creating here in the studio, I really started to look at things a little differently and started to understand what my strengths are versus my weaknesses. I think we're always talking about recognizing our strengths and our weaknesses, and sometimes we answer that question as how we want those answers to be, but I was able to very much dig deep and figure out what that really is, and it's not everything that many people may think that it is, or what I was trying to tell myself that my strengths are. So I have a better understanding of what my strengths are, I feel, and a better understanding of what my weaknesses are. So there you are. I hope that this was helpful insight on what I learned personally, and maybe it encourages you to take a break and be a little more mindful of how much we spend staring at our phones. We hear about it a lot. People want to blame it for everything under the sun, but do we actually intentionally try to reduce it? And hopefully what I have done here in this video is explain to you how I went about it. Hopefully you gathered that it was not easy. I have given you some ideas on how to replace that time when you realize you're caught up in it. And I've given you some potential benefits that you can look forward to. So I hope you enjoyed this. I promised to share this when I came back onto YouTube. I'm very happy to be back and creating videos again. One of the things I did realize is how much I enjoy creating content, but at the same time, it's also given me some ideas on what type of content might be best for me to create. So more to come. I'm back on YouTube now again and making some more videos as promised. So I hope you have a wonderful Monday. And if you have any other questions about how this helped me at all, please leave them below and I'll be happy to share more. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.